the media is warming us up to the idea of mandatory military draft on behalf of NATO. CNN says that we collectively need to have a big mental shift, they say, in order to embrace the idea of mandatory military draft. Take a look at this, published by CNN in the last few days. They're saying that, hey, no one wants to go to war, so we need to change our attitude. Not maybe our leaders should lead us to peace, but it's on you to change how you think about this. They're saying debates about conscription have been taking place in other European countries that don't require it. But in the UK, this lost them the election. But the most surprising transformation is currently underway in Germany. We've covered the many different reforms to the draft that Germany is proposing right now. It's hotly debated, and Germany has been saying that, yes, they are going to also send women, not just men. Now, what they want you to do is you change your mind about your relatives or yourself dying for a war that they want. They will not work towards peace. They want to change you. And again, notice what it says here that's underlined about what it cost in the UK election. Conservatives proposed a military draft, and they lost that election. Way to go, UK voters.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of my 13-year-old son being drafted in to go to fight in Ukraine.
Right.
For a boondoggle to enrich the military-industrial complex.
Yeah.
There's a big middle finger, and I'm sticking it right up to you guys.
Yeah.
And these are the people that are starting to surround themselves around President Trump right now. And I really hope that he gives them the boot.
Yeah. So, maybe that cost the UK Conservatives their seats because they didn't have CNN sufficiently warming us all up to the idea of a military draft. So are we ready to be groomed for that collectively? I'm going to say no. Now, NATO has said that they have a goal of adding 300,000 soldiers just in the next month alone and another 500,000 in the next 6 months. Where will they get all of those human bodies? Well, here is what a military strategist said to CNN about it, that conscription remains unpopular in some countries, as if it's a conspiracy theory to not want to be dead. NATO is struggling to meet this personnel. They say that they've already met the goal, but the EU has said its members would struggle. So the EU is really lagging behind. So NATO relies on American forces, they say. One possible solution, they say, is a more nimble, modern, note the word modern military. For example, Finland would have the capacity for 900,000 reservists and 280,000 military personnel. But during peacetime, Finland only carries 13,000 people. So, okay, let's discuss the word modern here in this context. What they're saying is you cannot have peacetime levels of personnel. You must always have a standing army at maximum personnel. Do you read this any other way?
No, I mean, in the UK said this publicly just a few months ago. We covered it here on the show that the UK needs to now be on a war footing.
Yeah.
The Defense Ministry, other members of Parliament back that up. And so the UK needs to be on a permanent war footing.
Yeah. So they're just saying that this peacetime military that you've got is anachronistic. You need a modern one that's full of people who don't want to fight.
I have to tell you about our friends at ExpressVPN. We would not be able to do this show without ExpressVPN. So what is it? Well, it is a virtual private network, and it is the best in the industry, the fastest, most secure. They have servers in over 105 different countries, and when we are researching information for this show, we have to very often jump on ExpressVPN in order to get access to different news sources from around the world, because so many countries ban good information, trusted sources of news. They want you to watch CNN. They want you to watch really garbage mainstream media. And so we need to use ExpressVPN in order to go around those censors. And that's what we do. We also use it for protecting our family, for banking purposes and other things like that. So a VPN is just a virtual private network. It's a secure tunnel between your device and the internet. And when you download ExpressVPN, the app is so stinking easy to use. You can use it on your Mac. You can use it on your PC. You can use it on your iPhone, your Android device. It doesn't matter what device you're using. It is so easy to use. You simply select the country where you want to sign in. You hit go, you hit connect, boom, you're up and running in seconds. And it's so fast. You think, oh, this is going to really slow me down, right? this is really going to keep me from doing my job here because it's so slow. No. It's super fast. Very, very fast to use ExpressVPN. So go right now to expressvpn.com/redacted to get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. That's right. Again, go to expressvpn.com/redacted right here on your screen to get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free.
So again, most NATO countries do not practice a draft. Latvia has begun practicing a draft. Norway, now their laws allow them to draft not just men, but women too. Germany has said the same thing, that when we draft, we're thinking that we're going to draft both men and women. The UK proposed this, and the leaders that did so lost their seats in the last election in July. So that doesn't mean, though, that governments hear you when you say no to a draft, that military service must only be voluntary and we must continue to work towards peace. So how long before this becomes a prerequisite of a NATO membership? And why are they doing all of this? Well, here's what they say. NATO tells us over and over again that they're only a defensive organization. And no NATO countries are at war, but this is what CNN says, that it's because of Russia's full-scale assault on Ukraine, which followed its support for pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine and illegal annexation of Crimea. So I'm just going to leave that up for a second while I count the lies here in this one paragraph telling you why you need to go to war for NATO. Lie number 1, Moscow is a threat to NATO countries. They're not. No NATO country is currently at war with Russia, and Russia has expressed no interest in doing so. Number 2, that Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. They didn't. They sent troops in after the mayors of those regions asked for help because Ukraine was attacking them and had been since 2014, was ramped up at the orders of Death Eater Zelensky. And number 3, that the annexation of Crimea was illegal. Those people voted. Many of them felt that becoming a part of Ukraine in the first place in the 90s was illegal. Those people voted to join Russia because the Ukrainian army was attacking civilians in awful, terrible ways. Look it up. See for yourself. So why is CNN lying to you about this? Do they not know? Why doesn't NATO know these things? Why is NATO prepping a war based on these lies? That's strange, right? And what if you know these things, like we all collectively do, and you refuse to be a party to this draft? Well, you need an attitude adjustment, is right. What CNN says. They are saying that this generation now needs to be inspired by the D-Day veterans who just celebrated the 80th anniversary of the world's largest military operation in history. They're saying, like, hey, I think young people in Europe... Yeah, let me just read the quote and then you tell us, honey, why it's bullshit. I think young people in Europe and the U.S. will come to realize that this generation, like the generation that fought World War II, it didn't ask to be the greatest generation, but the circumstances thrust that burden on them. In democracies, we don't like to prepare for war. We don't want to think about these things. However, I think people respond to the circumstances that they see. Yes, this is upsetting. This is upsetting if you do actually honor the D-Day veterans because
and
they
if you
fought
understand
for peace.
History, the United States did not have a massive standing army during World War II. We mobilized very quickly, managed to go to New Orleans, and build massive amounts of Higgins boats for D-Day landing. So if you want to truly honor that, then you should know your history a little bit. You should also know who was the Supreme Allied Commander on that day, Dwight D. Eisenhower, who warned all of us about the military-industrial complex after he became president. And actually, they started to control his presidency, and he had already known that. And his farewell address was an admission, basically, that the military-industrial complex had already taken over. In other words, the deep state had already taken over. And so if you truly want to honor that, the memory of those individuals who fought on the beaches of Normandy, then you would do the exact opposite of this. All you need to do is walk along the graveyards in the U.S. cemetery in Normandy and look at those individuals who gave their lives to stop tyranny, to stop fascism, to stop Nazis. And that's how you would honor those individuals, by not doing this, not returning to this, and not supporting neo-Nazis in Ukraine on top of it. I mean, it's absolutely laughable.
Yes.
And disgusting.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out. Yes. So the question is not just why are world governments preparing us for a draft? You know why. They make a lot of money. They want that. They love dystopian war society. But why CNN? Why is CNN saying you need a big mental shift if you are against a draft, and basically publishing this pro-government propaganda? You clearly don't hate them enough, I think, because they think that it's okay for you to die on behalf of war lies. I hate them a lot, but I got more room in my heart for more hate. Let me know what you think of this. And also let your government leaders know that any kind of pro-war stance will lead to their ousting, much like the Conservatives in the UK.